right, good evening. Thank you for being with us. My name is Jackie Gralick, and this is the Morris County Vocational School District Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering information session. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the presentation. All right, for anyone that's just joining us, there may be a slight lag as this is on YouTube Live. But again, thank you for joining us. This is the Morris County Vocational School District Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, which is located at Morris Hills High School. Information session for 2021. Thank you so much for being with us. Just to do an introduction of who you have here this evening facilitating the presentation, we have Ms. Cheryl Giordano. Ms. Giordano is the District Director of Instruction for Math at Morris Hills High School and the Academy Director for Math, Science, and Engineering. We have Mr. Michael Gowdy. He is the Grants and Satellite Manager for Morris County Vocational School District. We have Ms. Sherry Caselli, the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction for Morris County Vocational School District. Ms. Gina DiDomenico. Students, you may have already seen this familiar face in your middle schools. She is the Student Recruitment and Community Relations Specialist for Morris County Vocational School District. And myself, Jackie Gralick, the Admissions Specialist for Morris County Vocational School District. We are very appreciative of you being here this evening, and we want you to be able to engage this evening and get some questions answered. So we're going to go through a lengthy presentation with lots of detail, but we want you to get your questions answered. So if you haven't already done so, you were sent a link, or you can also utilize this now to submit questions, and we will be answering them live, as many as possible, at the end of the presentation. You can pull up your smartphone camera app and use the QR code, hold that up to the screen. It'll bring up a simple form. You can just submit. You can submit multiple questions, or you can type in the URL. This was also sent to you in your email address that you registered for this event by Ms. DiDomenico through Eventbrite. We're going to go ahead and leave that up for just a few seconds so that you can access that. We do see we have some questions coming in already, so thank you so much for engaging and being with us there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Giordano, and she is going to take us through the program. Again, thank you for being with us.
You can go to the next slide. Great. Welcome, everyone. As Ms. Gralick mentioned, my name is Cheryl Giordano, and I work for the Morris Hills Regional High School District. Just to give you some background about the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, we have been active since 2000. This program is a joint program through articulation between the Morris County Vocational School District and the Morris Hills Regional School District. It was the very first satellite program that the Morris County Vocational School District created. And basically what that means is that the program is a Morris County Vocational School District program, but it's not housed on the Denville campus. It is housed on Morris Hills High School campus with Morris Hills High School students. It is a countywide program with a focus on career and technical education. Our career and technical education focus for this program is engineering, hence the name Math, Science, and Engineering. It is rather selective. Last year, the students that applied in 8th grade, we did have an acceptance rate of 28.4%. So approximately about 1 in 4 students did get accepted to the program. And we have been recognized over the years for the strength of the program and the student success, as noted in the Newsweek recognition as 2nd best high school in the nation back in 2016. Next slide. Just some basics, because every high school does run a different program and a different time schedule. So for students in the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, we do have an extended school day. So the start of the school day begins at 7:18 in the morning, which is pretty early, and it does run until 3:02 in the afternoon. We do run an A day, B day schedule. So on one day, it'll be an A day. The next day, it'll be a B day. On an A day, there are 4 blocks that run. That's 1 through 4, and those are 88 minutes each. Then on a B day, blocks 5, 6, 7, and 8 run, and those are also 88 minutes a block. And then the Academy students attend a special block called ZBlock. The ZBlock is half of a regular block, so 44 minutes, and that runs in the morning on both A day and B day. Now, since that's before our regular school hours at Morris Hills, those ZBlock classes will always be an academy specific class. And that'll happen freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. In terms of transportation, your children will receive transportation by your home district. So for example, if you live in Randolph, the Randolph Transportation Department will be responsible for driving your child to and from Morris Hills High School to attend the academy program. In terms of graduation, we do require that our students complete 170 credits to graduate from the program. The state of New Jersey only requires 120, so it's significantly more than a regular high school diploma. But since we have an extended school day and students taking 9 classes per year, they are easily able to meet that requirement. Now, unlike some other districts, we do not have grades that are A, B, C, D, and F. We are a numerical grading school. So students will receive, for example, an 88 as a final grade in a class. Now, what makes it a little unique is in order for a student to pass a course, they need to have at least a 70. That's the minimum passing grade. So if you were thinking about it in terms of letters, it's almost as if there isn't a D grade. So it's really like an A, B, C, but it is a numerical average. Also, because the students are very strong academically and it's a small population, we do not rank them. So we don't have a number 1, number 2, number 3. And we do that strategically because it would hurt students when they apply to college, since number 48 might be number 1 or 2 in their home district. So we do not rank them. They just have a cumulative GPA when they apply to their schools. Next slide. Some additional basics with activities. Many of our students in the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering are highly involved in the school community in extracurricular activities. Now that could be sports, or that could be clubs or honor societies. When they do that, they do participate in the Morris Hills programs. So for example, if your child plays soccer, they would try out for the high school soccer team at Morris Hills High School, and they would play with other students in Morris Hills. Same thing with clubs and honor societies. Students in the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering are eligible to gain membership in certain honor societies based on criteria, such as the Mu Alpha Theta, which is the Math Honor Society. And similarly, the clubs are also open to all Academy students. Now, one set of really, really important dates is that second bullet. For incoming freshmen, we want to make sure that students are acclimated to the school prior to starting the first day of freshman year. Many students are coming from all over Morris County. They may not know people. We want them to really get to have a friend group and a base before they start high school, which is already something that requires some transition for most students. But in this program, since they're new to the district and new to the school, we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to foster some of those relationships prior to September of their freshman year. So we do require all incoming freshmen to attend a 2-week mandatory summer program. So the dates for this upcoming summer program in 2022 will be July 18th through July 29th. That runs Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. During the 2 weeks, the students will study 4 areas. One is CAD, which is an academy class. They'll also begin their studies in AP Physics 1. They'll also work on a math class, which is Academy Math Analysis 1. And they will have a co-taught class for humanities, where an English teacher and a social studies teacher will work in an interdisciplinary curriculum. For that summer program, it's important to know that your school districts will not provide transportation. So you will need to arrange some type of transportation for your child to attend the summer program for those 2 weeks. Once students are admitted to the program, we will host another event where you can meet other parents. We'll help create opportunities for carpooling, so that if that's an issue, we might be able to help you down the road. But just keep that in mind when you're planning your vacations. Please do not schedule a vacation during this 2-week period, because it's a mandatory program. You have to attend the 2-week summer program if you're going to attend the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering in September of 2022. So we don't make any special accommodations. We can't recreate the program. We can't waive the program. So please put it in your calendars. Don't make doctor's appointments or orthodontist appointments during that week. You must attend all 10 days. Another component of the Academy program, since it's a career and technical education program, they are required to complete a structured learning experience, which we pretty much call an internship for everybody else. So in this program, our students in their senior year will complete a 100-hour internship in an engineering program. So they'll have a mentor that is in the engineering field, and they will get to learn about a specific area of their interest in that field. It could happen during the summer and as well as during the school year. We allow our students to complete up to 75 hours of the internship prior to the summer, during the summer prior to their senior year. So after they complete junior year, if they would like to get a head start, they can complete 75 of those 100 hours in the summer. But they must follow the right chain of command and get it approved by the Morris County Vocational School District as an internship first. And then they can complete the other 25 hours during the school year, whether it's during breaks, whether it's after school, on the weekends. But more information about that is really shared with students once they're in their junior year. But keep in the back of your mind that students that do attend this program will need to complete a 100-hour internship in order to graduate from the program. We also have some opportunities for college credit. Every year we're looking for additional opportunities for students to have dual enrollment, which means that they would take a course on the campus of Morris Hills and have the opportunity to earn credit at a college or university for that course. For example, we have a course in Calculus 3 where students can earn articulated credit through NJIT. So they would earn the credit in high school, but also have a transcript from NJIT for Calculus 3 that they can bring to their four-year university once they graduate, and possibly not have to take that course and get some college credit before they leave high school. Now, I mentioned the number 48 earlier. The reason why I mentioned 48 is because every year we accept a total of 48 students into each coming class. So the top 48 students will be offered a seat, or 48 students, I should say, will be offered a seat. If a student chooses not to come, we do go to our wait list and we poll. So we will try to fill every single one of those seats so that we can accommodate as many students as possible. Next slide. All right, some of our required Academy courses, those are listed by grade. So if we take a look at grade 9, one of our Academy classes that's required is the Academy CAD class, which they will start over the summer during the summer program. Also AP Physics 1, Academy Math Analysis 1, which is sort of a hybrid of Algebra 2 and some pre-calc. Academy English Honors, Academy Social Studies Honors, and then Geometry Honors. So that's a total of 6 classes. Keep in mind, students will have to take physical education. That's a requirement by the state of New Jersey. Most students will also take a world language, and then they have another spot for an elective. So there is opportunities for electives outside, but they are somewhat limited because the students' electives are really in the area of engineering. Then in grade 10, we continue with the CAD and take a course called Academy Fundamentals of Engineering. The students also enroll in AP Chemistry, Academy Math Analysis 2, which will finish up pre-calculus, maybe some Algebra 2 topics, and then dabble into some calc. Academy Engineering and Product Development 1 Honors, which is a course that's a 3-year sequence. Academy English 2 Honors, and Academy Social Studies 2 Honors. So you'll see there that there are, again, 6 required classes. So you'll have your physical education as the 7th, most likely a world language as your 8th, and then the 9th class would be an elective. In grade 11, we have a little bit more flexibility. Students take AP Biology, the 2nd year of the Academy Engineering and Product Development 2 Honors, and Academy Business Strategies. Now, students will also take a calculus class after that. So we have 3 choices. We have AP Calculus BC, which is the equivalent of a 2nd year of calculus in college. We also have AP Calculus AB, which is closer to 1 semester. And then some students who maybe do not want to focus on the AP in Calculus could take Calc Honors. Then in grades 12, we have Academy Biology, Biotechnology, the third year of the Engineering and Product Development. Academy Technical Writing is actually a semester course. So that is taken for either the first and second marking periods or the third and fourth. And then paired with that is Academy Macroeconomics Honors. That course is also a semester. And then we have our structured learning experience, which is not on the schedule. It is outside of the school day. And then in grades 12, you'll see that you have additional spots, and that's really an opportunity for students to take additional electives in math, science, or other areas of their choice. For students who complete the AP Calculus BC, some students choose to go into Calculus 3 when they're a senior. If they do not want to continue with calculus, they may take something like AP Statistics or AP Physics C. It really does depend on where they want to focus their efforts with those electives. Next slide. Some of our accomplishments, and it may be a little bit difficult to read the graph, are our SAT scores and our AP scores of the students in our program. So if we look at our last year's class, our graduating class of 2021, excuse me, you'll notice that the students in the academy had an average of over 1,500 on the SATs, which is, close to 500 points higher than the state, and similarly, about 500 points above the national average. I do want to just point out that those averages are calculated through our Naviance, which is a program. It's not from the College Board because our student population is smaller. We don't have those reports, so we can calculate. And last year might be a little bit different since many of our students did not opt to take the SATs, while some of our strongest students did opt to take the SATs. Although if you look at previous years for math, science, and engineering, it's very close every year. It differs by about a few points. So our students didn't really perform any better or any worse, but we may see some higher scores in some other areas or other states because of the pandemic and the limited access to SATs, or college options where some of our colleges are making it test optional. So, last year's data for students outside our program, I think might be a little bit different than in previous years. Our advanced placement data for 2021, now this does not just focus on our graduating class, but all of our students in the program. We had 173 total students in AMSE take an AP exam for a total of almost 1,000 AP tests. Now, the students that took the tests, more than, 80% scored either a 4 or a 5. 5 being the highest score that you can receive on an AP exam, and 93% scored a 3 or higher on an AP exam. If we look to our current senior class, the class of 2022, you'll see we have 43 students in that class. The highest GPA currently as of today is 104.78, and their average GPA is 101.4. We also are happy to report that we had 9 national merit semifinalists of those 43 students. Next slide. Now, the internships, the structured learning experience that I mentioned earlier, if we take a look at our class from last year, here are some examples of programs and internships that they participated in as part of the structured learning experience. So it does vary. We have some participation with universities, such as NJIT, but we also have students that were working in places like Picatinny Arsenal. The idea is that they'll work with their structured learning experience coordinator to try to find a placement that fits the area of their interest. But again, that is something that students will work on beginning their junior year. And then when they roll in senior year, hopefully they already have an internship and maybe even completed some of their hours over the summer before senior year. Next slide. Where are those students now? And I have to say all of this information will also be shared with you after the presentation via email in a program. So you don't have to take screenshots or pictures or take notes or anything like that. So for our class of 2021, there's a list there of all this, the universities and colleges where the students were accepted. And then any of the universities or colleges that are in bold, that's where students chose to go. We did have 43 students for our current class. You'll see that we have We have probably less colleges than students from last year, and that's because we have some colleges where we have more than one student attending for this fall. Okay, next slide. All right, and at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Gralick for admissions, and I'll mute myself. You're up.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. So yes, now you guys all heard all of the amazing things that math, science, and engineering has to offer. I'm just going to go through the admissions process with you. Just a friendly reminder, this you can watch on replay, as well as I'm going to show you where you can access all of this information. So you will have this at your fingertips if you want to reference it or go back. So the application is currently open for anyone that has not applied yet. It opened in September and it's going to close promptly on December 3rd, which might feel far away, but it is not. We've only got a few short weeks and we've got some holidays in between there. So my friendly suggestion is to get that application in sooner rather than later, because there is some work to be done on it. All of the criteria that we're going to go over this evening is due by December 10th. All of this information is accessible on our website, which is mcvts.org. You can click on apply and toggle to the full-time academies. It is a simple web-based application. It's going to ask basic information about who you are, where you live, what your current middle school is, and what academy you're looking to apply to. So that's why it's important to attend the information sessions. With it, it's going to start with a link to what we call our admissions handbook. This is your guide to success throughout the entire process. 9 times out of 10, questions can be answered by referencing the admissions handbook. Both students and parents and guardians, I highly suggest that you take the time to read it over. It's not a long read, and it has the sections laid out for the criteria, the process, the timeline. So please take the time to read the admissions handbook in its entirety so you can familiarize yourself with the process and know what to expect. And if you have a question, when in doubt, go ahead and reference that admissions handbook. Something that we're going to go over in detail on the next slide, but I want to point out in the application, you're going to enter the email addresses of 2 recommenders. The reason I mention that now is very important for your application that you have the correct email addresses. So just make sure you test them and that your recommenders, you do have the proper contact information for. 2 things happen when you submit your application. The first thing is you're going to receive a confirmation page, which includes a release form. So parents and guardians, it's important that you print this page and you get that over to your child's school counselor. If you do not have access to a printer at that moment, don't worry. When you hit submit, an automatic confirmation email has also been sent to the email address that you provided in the application, as well as you have access throughout the entire process to what's called an applicant status page that you can follow along and see what's been submitted, what may be missing, and you also can print the confirmation page there. So you've submitted your application, you've printed your release form, you've sent that over to your school counselor. When you also hit submit, an automatic notice went to your child's Morris County Middle School. We have sending district relationships at all of the Morris County Middle Schools, and they're wonderful working with us each year. So they know that John Smith from Denville has applied to the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, but they cannot take their next steps until you send them that release form. So get that over as soon as possible. So the criteria that we're looking for this year, your school counselor is going to submit when they get the release form, the final scores for math, science, English, and social studies for 7th grade, and they will be averaged together for 1 score. Going into the recommendations that we previously spoke about, you can choose a middle school teacher, any middle school teacher of your choosing. So it does not have to be a science or a math teacher or an engineering teacher. It can be your favorite gym teacher, a middle school teacher of your choosing, present or past, and an adult non-family member. This could be a coach, a tutor, a pastor, a family friend, someone that knows you well and that can speak to you. If you would like, you can also choose to have an additional middle school teacher. But again, make sure that you do have the proper contact information to fill out the application. When you hit submit, automatic notices will be sent to your recommenders for them to fill out the recommendation. The recommendations are not a traditional letter of recommendation that they're writing. They will receive a confidential form of questions that they will submit confidential answers to. You will not have access to see the questions or the responses from your recommenders, but you have full control over who you're choosing as your recommenders. Continuing with something that we implemented last year was a student video submission. This is a great way to showcase you and who you are and your excitement for the Academy. You can see there, and this is hyperlinked in our admissions handbook as well as sent to you in your confirmation email, is a page that outlines what we're looking for the video. It's simple as far as it's a 2-minute video of the applicant. We don't want to see the whole family in there. While we're sure you're all wonderful and lovely, this is about the student. No cartoons or graphics, anything like that. And the students are going to be answering 2 questions. And again, this document is accessible in the handbook and in your confirmation email, where it tells you exactly what to do and the link to submit. But you're going to be answering the question, how can you bring a different perspective to your academy? So the academy that you're applying to, if that's math, science, and engineering. And the second question is, what makes you unique? And we're excited to hear those answers. So again, you can reference that document in the admissions handbook. When you are filling out your application, you will choose from the available test/task days, and you will have that on your applicant status page as well as on your release form when you print that out. But you will be coming to the Morris County School of Technology. All testing and tasks will take place at the Denville campus, Morris County School of Technology, where students will come and take an admissions test as well as participate in a task. This is also hyperlinked because this information is accessible in our handbook. We have a secondary link to the admissions test, which explains the standards that are used for the test if a student would like to review their work from 7th grade in order to study for the test, but this is based on New Jersey learning standards. It's going to be a math test and an English test. As Ms. Giordano pointed out, students that are applying to the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering must currently be in Algebra 1 in 8th grade in order to apply in school. With that, only for the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, students will be taking an advanced math test based upon those standards, and it will be a short answer math test, approximately 25 questions. Students will also, all students, no matter what academy you're applying to, will be taking an English test, and that is approximately 25 questions, multiple choice. Both of our tests are, students are given 1 hour, and it is a pen and paper test. Students will also participate in a task the day of the test. So the task, the details that are shared are also in the admissions handbook. Students will participate in a small group task. So they're going to work with other applicants on what we call a STEM type task and an arts type task. So it is a small group task, and it is about collaboration and group work. Okay. Here I want to point out, this is our rubric. This is also accessible in our admissions handbook. This you can see all the criteria that we just talked about, what the points are. So the 7th grade score is an average, is worth up to 20 rubric points. And if you go into that hyperlink, you can actually see on the second page the grade scale and how that score gets translated into the rubric. The 2 recommendations are averaged together for up to 10 points. The video submission up to 20 points. The task that you'll participate in the day of the test is up to 20 points. This does state this is not relevant to the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, but just a note if you are applying to the Academy for Performing Arts, that's dance, theater, or vocal, only that academy will take an in-person audition in lieu of the task, and that is also highlighted in the admissions handbook. All students will participate in the admissions test. The test is worth 30 points, and that is 15 points for the ELA or the language arts portion, the English portion, and 15 points for the math portion. So all academies have a total possible point value of 100 points, except for the Academy for Performing Arts. They have a little bit additional for that in-person audition. And again, this rubric is accessible in our handbook, so you can see that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all of that criteria for all of our students and all the academies that we offer at Morris County Vocational School District, and we're going to tabulate all of that. And a student, there will be a qualifying score determined per academy. Students who are at or above that score will move to the final phase, which is a random selection process, which is lottery-like. So we will determine what the criteria for success is in each of those programs by setting that minimum rubric score for each individual academy. Applicants above at or above will move to the final phase of the random selection process. This provides an equal opportunity for all qualified students to gain acceptance into the academy. So help us to ensure that your file is complete. As I stated, you do have access to the applicant status page throughout the entire phase. So take a peek at that regularly. If you see that something hasn't been submitted, your middle school hasn't submitted your scores, please make sure that you do, reach out to them, get them that release form. If you haven't submitted your video and we're getting towards that deadline in December, make sure you get that done. If you see your recommendations haven't been submitted, send them a reminder. We can always help you. If you say, hey, they lost the email, let us know. We're happy to facilitate that, but applicants are responsible to ensure that all of the criteria is in by the December 10th deadline. Something I do want to point out regarding test accommodations, if any student does have test accommodations per an IEP or a 504, your school counselor will indicate that in their portion of the application, and we will provide the applicable accommodations and test modifications the day of the test. Parents will actually see that on their applicant status page in advance so they can ensure that the proper test accommodations and modifications are set up for their student. We will send the final acceptances and waitlist notifications via email, as well as you will see that on your applicant status page. The timeline for this is late January to early February. As quickly as possible as we can get those results out to you, we will. We do respect your time during this process. And that, so late January, no later than early February, you would have your notice if you will be accepted or waitlisted for your academy. We will let your, what we call home district, the town that you're coming from, that school district, know in the spring that you have been accepted. More communication is always better than not enough. So we say, just let them know as well too. So that just helps with that information flow. I'm going to turn this back over to Ms. Giordano for some frequently asked questions, and then we'll open questions coming in from the audience.
All right, welcome back. If you can click to the next slide, thank you. So some of the questions, and we've sort of touched upon them already, but just to reiterate that we get asked often are, starting with the first one, who is eligible to apply to the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering? And as I mentioned earlier, and sorry, I'm a little bit sick, any student who lives in Morris County can apply if they're in 8th grade and if they, excuse me, have completed Algebra 1 by the end of grade 8. Jackie, can you take over just to the next ones because I need to get a drink? Thanks.
Absolutely. We're always teamwork around here. Transportation. So Mr. Giordano touched on this briefly in the beginning, but is transportation provided? We know that that's a hot topic. Yes. So how that works is your home district will be required to provide transportation to and from school. So when we send that notice, when you're all accepted, positive language in the spring, your home district will know. And just like going into any regular high school, the transportation coordinators actually set that up in the late summer. So you would not receive your bus routes until the late summer. One thing that we do always point out is that late busing is not provided with the satellite programs, but transportation to and from school will be provided by your home district. If I'm accepted, how will my home district know that I need transportation? I apologize. I think I just touched into this a little bit more, but yes, we do send that information out to the home district and make sure that they are aware of that. Transportation, the first 1 or 2 weeks of school can be a little sticky, but we are here to advocate on behalf of all of our students and do help them to make sure that the transportation is set and ready to go. Is late busing provided? I apologize again, I did answer that, but just to confirm, no, that is the responsibility of the student, parent, and guardian. So transportation to and from school is provided, but late busing is not provided. So that's an important something you want to add into your fact finding and decision making. Okay. Can I participate in extracurricular activities in my home district? And forgive me, my screen, I just need to move this. Okay, the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering students have access to over 80 clubs and 29 sports within multiple levels at freshman, junior varsity in Morris Hills High School. If you go to the Morris Hills website, you will see a plethora of the clubs and activities that they do offer. It's quite vast. In rare occasions, students have participated in activities at their home district, so the school that you would have gone if you weren't going to the academy, but that does need prior approval by your town's Board of Education. But do take a look at that list, as it's quite expansive what Morris Hills offers with sports, extracurriculars, clubs. Okay, can I apply to more than one academy? No, unfortunately not. So that's why it's very important that you do attend the information sessions, have your questions answered, and make sure that you feel comfortable. As far as advice from my standpoint, it's important that you can see yourself in that academy, that it excites you, and you have a passion and interest for that for the next 4 years. Do I need to repeat geometry if I took it in middle school? This is a great question. I've actually seen a couple of this come through in the questions that you're submitting. So the answer is no. However, you must take a placement exam and demonstrate proficiency of at least 80%. So if you've already taken geometry, you will not have to repeat it if you pass the placement exam that Morris Hills will provide you by at least 80%. If I took a full year of world language in middle school, can I start in year 2 as a freshman? Yes. However, you must take a placement exam, which will determine your level. Morris Hills School District offers Spanish, French, and German. Can I take the admissions exam more than once? Sorry, unfortunately not. So do your best the day of the test. I'm sure you're all going to do great. What type of student are you looking for? This question I've also seen a couple times come through. We want students with a demonstrated passion for math, science, and engineering with good communication skills. That goes back to that passion for the program. It is important, and it's a good component for success. Students are excited and passionate about these fields. Okay. Can students make an appointment to tour or visit the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering during the program school day? Oh, forgive me. So accepted students may have an opportunity to visit depending upon the health situation in late winter, early spring. We are very hopeful for this. Last year, unfortunately, we were not able to, but things have really progressed in a positive manner. And we are hoping that we are going to be able to provide an opportunity for accepted students to come in, to spend a little bit of time in the academy, see Morris Hills High School, and get to know the culture before making that decision. We want to be as honest as possible that is dependent upon the health situation during that time. So pending we can safely provide that option, we most certainly will. How will I hear from MCST? So MCST, Morris County Vocational School District, is one and the same. So all the communication does occur via email. That's important because we do have a large number of academies, therefore we have a high number of applicants. And then to ensure that information is appropriately disseminated, we ask that all communication is via email. Please know you're not sending an email out into cyberspace. We respect your application, both student and parent and guardian, and the time that you're putting into this. Our admissions department works very hard to respond back to inquiries in a very efficient time manner. So please know that you will receive a response to an inquiry. You also do have access to that handbook throughout the entire process. 9 times out of 10 that will answer your question, as well as your applicant status page. You can check anytime your heart desires to see what has been submitted, what's missing, and so you can get an idea of what your application and the timeline and process looks like. What is the difference between Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, that's what we're here discussing this evening, and the Math/Science Magnet? So Math, Science, and Engineering focuses on engineering. The Magnet program, which is a separate program not run by Morris County Vocational School District, that is run by Morris Hills Regional School District, which is the district in which this academy is housed. So it does sometimes create a little bit of confusion but they are two separate programs with separate application processes. So math, science, and engineering focuses on engineering. The magnet program completes AP capstone, which is scientific research. If you'd like to learn more about that, the Morris Hills website does a great job of going over that information about the magnet program. Math, science, and engineering, we have that ZBlock that Ms. Giordano spoke about in the beginning. That is the ZBlock, so that extra time in the start of the day. We also, for math, science, and engineering, the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering is an approved what we call CTE, and that stands for Career and Technical Education Program, and that requires that students complete the internship with students in math, science, and engineering, have a requirement of 100 hours in their senior year. So that's also a difference from magnet to math, science, and engineering. Math, science, and engineering, freshmen take AP Physics 1, while magnet students take biology honors. Math, science, and engineering is for Morris County students, only offered through Morris County Vocational School District, and the magnet is a school choice program, again, offered by Morris Hills Regional School District, a separate program. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this back up with questions, the link to submit questions, but I am happy to report that we do have a high number of questions coming in. So we're going to jump right into those and see if we can get through as many as possible. Some of them we have answered, but we'll recap if it is an overwhelming number of the same ones. Will there be an opportunity to tour the school? So for students that are offered acceptance, if the health situation allows us to in that would be February timeframe, we would provide a tour time for them to come in and see the academy. And again, that's pending the health situation, but we are very hopeful that we can do that. Can you please explain the process for Sussex County students who will be applying? So we do have a requirement that Morris County students are given preference in the admissions process for all of our academies. Some academies have a higher number of applicants per year than others. And fortunately and unfortunately for an out-of-county student, the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering will not accept an out-of-county student, as they already have more Morris County in-county applicants than seats available. Additionally, students from out-of-county can only apply to a Morris County academy if their county vocational program does not offer a similar program. All counties do have a vocational school, and each vocational school might have different programming. So it's a good idea to take a peek at your local vocational school district, see if they have any programs. If not, you may apply, but unfortunately, math, science, and engineering, healthcare, computer and information science every year are not able to accept, as they always have more Morris County applicants. We say that as we do want to be transparent up front. Other programs do have a higher opportunity for an out-of-county applicant to be accepted. What attributes of a candidate will be looked at in the video submission? Are you looking for academic excellence or math, science, and engineering interest, or beyond academic aspects? So great question. The information that we share regarding the video is outlined in the video submission details document. As far as that goes, that is up to the applicant, parent, and guardian to determine, what path they're going to take in answering those two questions. But the information that we'll be providing is in that document. Do math, science, and engineering students have same access to APs, associations, sports activities as other Morris Hill students? Forgive me. Are students able to balance with existing classwork? So students are able to participate in the sports and extracurriculars that all Morris Hill students are able to. As far as balancing, you saw the coursework and the load. It is a large amount of work. So students do need to be able to effectively time manage. That's very important for an academy student in math, science, and engineering, and to balance those. There are many students that successfully are able to do that, but time management will really come into play when it goes into working with doing extracurricular sports, anything along those lines. Okay. How many students are expected to apply to math, science, and engineering program this year? Can you elaborate on the selection process, lottery, other steps? So we did go through the admissions process, but I'm happy to share, we are an open book as far as numbers. The one thing I always point out is that we cannot predict what a given year is going to bring. Even more so the last 2 years have been a little hard to predict. Traditionally, we receive approximately 200 applications to the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, and that is for 48 seats. So that goes back to that approximately 1 in 4 students that Ms. Giordano spoke about in the beginning of the presentation. Again, I don't know exactly what this year will bring, but traditionally we have approximately 200 applicants. As far as, can you elaborate on the selection process? Going back to the criteria that we just went over, students will submit the criteria as outlined in the admissions handbook. There will be a minimum score set per academy, and students at or above that score will advance to the final phase, which is a random selection process, which is lottery-like, that all students moving to that phase have an equal opportunity for acceptance. Okay, we would like to know more about the group tasks. So the information that we are sharing about that is provided in the admissions handbook, but simply they are small group tasks. Students will work with other applicants to complete 2 tasks, one being a STEM related task and one being an art related task. They're not scary. I actually do believe that students, you will enjoy them and hopefully take away some fun. This is about group work and collaboration. And that's the extent of what we would share for that information. Will the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering be more math, science, or engineering? Engineering. This is definitely an engineering focused program. If you have a passion and a desire for the engineering path, this is a great program for you. Is there a possible exception for a rising 9th grader to take Algebra 1 over the summer to be eligible for the program? Unfortunately not. As you can refer back to our policy in the admissions handbook, students must currently be in Algebra 1 in school in 8th grade. We do verify that information at the end of the school year that they have successfully completed that in school. You'll also see that we do have a summer program that's mandatory that starts in July, where students do need that acumen to jump right into that summer program. So unfortunately not, due to the rigor of the curriculum. All testing and the task will all take place at Morris County School of Technology. That is in the handbook, as well as we will send a friendly reminder the week of your test with just some small reminders like bringing 2 pencils as it's a pencil and paper test. But all of them will take place at Morris County School of Technology, and that is in Denville at 400 East Main Street. Why is there a lottery system? Why can't the top scorers be admitted? I respect that question. The answer is we want all students that are qualified to have an equal opportunity for admission. So students that move to that final phase, all of those students we feel are going to be successful candidates and therefore deserve an opportunity for acceptance into the program. Where do buses pick up and drop off students? So as far as that goes, that is going to be district dependent and it changes per year. It depends. Your home district, as we discussed, will be setting up that transportation. So you will receive that route in the late summer. Some districts may have many students coming from, say, you're from Roxbury and they have a high number of Roxbury students attending the academy. You might have a bus that picks you up at your house each morning and brings you right there, just like you would for going to your traditional high school. You might have a van if it's a smaller amount. You might have a bus that brings you to your local high school, and then you take a secondary bus to the academy. So transportation can look different for each academy. And again, you would receive that route not academy, I'm so sorry, for per district. And you would receive that information in the late summer, just like you would going into your traditional high school. Is this a college prep program or meant to graduate you ready for your career? The answer is is both. Students can go on to any post-secondary options that they would in a traditional high school, but they are getting that highly focused CT, career and technical education in math, science, and engineering, and it is an engineering program. So if students did want to go right into the workforce, they would have skills in order to do so, but this will also give them an upper advantage if they're, want to continue the engineering route in the college of their choice. What time do ZBlock classes start in the morning? Ms. Giordano, I don't remember that, so if you wouldn't mind helping me there.
Sure. ZBlock starts at 7:18 in the morning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How many kids in each academy on average? So I'm going to answer this in two different ways because the question, so the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering accepts 48 students per year. So 48 students. Our other academies, if that's the question, just to give a full disclosure, most Morris County Vocational School District academies accept 16 to 20 students per year. Healthcare accepts 32. Computer and Information Science accepts 32, and Math, Science, and Engineering accepts 48. Do you have a DECA club, Model UN, and mock trial? Are you aware if you have any of those over at Morris Hills?
I know we have DECA. I know
Okay.
we have Model UN, and I believe mock trial. But when they get the pamphlet emailed to them, it'll list the activities, so that would fall under a club.
Wonderful, thank you. And yes, we will be following up with a link to the information that you saw in there that Ms. Giordano provided, and that also has the sports and clubs and athletics, as well as you can access that on the Morris Hills website. When does the geometry testing happen in the summer?
All right, so I can help answer that. Typically, we set up 2 days of testing for the geometry course. So for students that are currently enrolled in geometry in grade 8, we would allow you to choose from one of 2 test dates. They're usually towards the end of the school year in June. And if you happen to be testing in both language, world language and math, we give the opportunity to test on separate days so that you're not overloaded with 2 exams. But if needed, we might be able to make arrangements for you to take the geometry and the world language on the same day. But you will know in advance when you complete your course selection sheet, which usually comes out sometime in around March. You would select the day in which you want to take the test, but it's in June towards the end of the year.
Thank you. Cheryl, this will be another question for you, and I don't expect you to have this exact number, but an approximate. What has been the boy-girl ratio in recent years, male to female ratio of the academy?
Yeah, I don't know the exact balance. It does vary from year to year. Some years it's been 50-50, but we have had years where for every girl there were 2 boys. So it does vary. I'm not sure about this year, but it depends on the class.
Thank you. What is the last day in which you can go through the wait list? I can take that one. So with the Academy for Math, Science, and Engineering, the summer program is mandatory. So we can accept right up until the last business day before that starts. All other academies, we do go until the end of August. This starts a little bit sooner, but there is a chance for that. Each year in every academy, we do utilize the wait list, but we can never predict exactly what it will bring. We could go 1 in, we could go 10 in, and it really does depend on the year. But I can tell you that if you are on the wait list and you are up next, we respect that, and we will contact you immediately to let you know that you have been offered a seat in the academy to see if you would like to move forward with that. Okay, these questions are about geometry, which I think we covered very nicely there. Is there an opportunity to take electives in art, or do they all need to be MSE based? I know senior year, they have an opportunity for some extra credits in there. Are there any arts types electives, Ms. Giordano?
Yes, students still need to complete the high school graduation requirements for the state of New Jersey, which would require students to take a visual performing arts course. So that could be intro to art. We will list that on the course selection sheet. If students want to get that out of their out of the way freshman year, they certainly can. We do have some students that are artistically talented and do take AP Art Studio. So that is an option that students can pursue if it's an area of interest.
Thank you so much. This is a good question. We applied and we thought this was more focused on math and science. Based upon this presentation, there's an emphasis on engineering. Yes, you are correct. What would you recommend for a student who's interested in science, math, medical field? If you do go over to the Morris County Vocational School District website and click on the full-time academies, you can see the full list of our academies. We do offer a healthcare science academy on the Denville campus. We offer a sports medicine academy at Roxbury High School. We offer a biotechnology academy on the Denville campus. So those would be some programs within, those genres that you might want to take a peek at. If you look at the web pages, you can get an essence of an idea of what that academy looks like, see the curriculum for it, the course of study. On our admissions website, if you go to the information sessions tab where you registered for today, you do have a link to our virtual information session, which is a great place to kind of recap all that our academies have to offer. All of our students have made different videos or presentations to highlight what their programs look like. So that might be a good idea if you're kind of looking to see what other academies might be a good fit for you. But we are appreciative that applicants attend the information sessions to really see what is best for them. And you can change academies. I do see that question coming up the pipeline, so we'll tie that into this question. Applicants can change academies simply by emailing the admissions department. You can reply to that confirmation email or send us an email. It's applicants with an S at mcvts.org. Always include your contact information, your name. We ask for the PIN number, which is part of your application. Let us know we can make that change. The deadline to make that change is 5 business days after the test results will be released. So the test results will be released approximately 2 to 3 weeks after the December 10th deadline. So from the date that we release the test results, you have 5 business days. But if you know now, you're welcome to send that over. We're happy to make that change, not a problem at all. On a 4.0 scale, what is the average highest GPA? Forgive me, Ms. Giordano, if you had that on one of your slides.
I did not. So we would have students with a 100-point scale, not a 4.0. One thing that I probably didn't mention or emphasize is that the students in our school, when they take an honors level course, they get an additional 5 points weighting on their average. So if they had a 100 average in the class, it would actually calculate as 105 average. Also with AP courses, students receive 10 points weighting on their final average for their cumulative weighted GPA. So when we saw that, a student, the highest average was over 104 in the current senior class, that is because of the weighting that they're receiving from honors and AP courses. So in terms of the scale, we don't scale it on a 4.0. Some colleges may, but what they'll do during the admissions process, they'll definitely take a look at our students' overall cumulative GPA and then rescale it to fit their scale. But it would be over a 4.0. But exactly what that would be, I'm not sure.
Thank you. We have time for just a few more questions. I'm going to try to quickly skim and see if there's like a couple coming in of each one. What is the minimum score required out of 100? So that information we do not know yet. So every year, the applicant pool looks different and the criteria is different this year. It has changed the last few years due to the circumstances. So this year's criteria is new and fresh, as well as we don't know what the applicant pool will look like. So once all that data is in, it will be analyzed per an academy and an appropriate score will be determined. Last year, while it is not relevant to this year's information, but I think sometimes people like data to help Last year, it was an 80 was the qualifying score to move forward, but I cannot guarantee you if that's what it will be this year. Okay, if I am waitlisted, can I switch to another academy? Unfortunately not. You do need to choose and declare the academy during the admissions timeframe. So it is important that you do attend the information sessions, get your questions answered. So we're appreciative of you being here for that today. How many open-ended questions are there in the MSE test? So the math, science, and engineering students will take a math test that is not multiple choice. So there is approximately 25 questions, and it is pencil and paper. Can a student use electives from another academy? So electives in all of the academies, students do have a limited amount compared to a traditional high school schedule. And the reason is the time that you would traditionally spend in multiple electives is spent in your CT academy or Career and Technical Education Academy. So I apologize if I'm not understanding that question, but so students do have an opportunity to take electives in their academy to learn about different types of fields. Electives in the Denville campus are not, you're not saying taking a healthcare academy elective when you're in the Computer and Information Science Academy. You can see the list of the electives that are offered in our course guide on our website. And I believe it's a similar component at Morris Hills. Is that correct?
Yes, they would be able to take electives with the Morris Hills population, but not in another academy program on the Denville campus. Similarly, there are some courses that might be specific to specialized programs in the Morris Hills Regional District, like the International Baccalaureate program or the Magnet for Math and Science, that are specific to those programs only.
Thank you. Ms. Giordano, how did the school respond to state requirements for virtual education last year?
How did we respond to virtual requirements? Well, we provided an opportunity for students to attend school virtually, like every other district, I would assume. We did have hybrid learning going on as well. We had a shortened school day. So that was unique because some schools I know were able to have a full school day. So we had a shortened school day. We provided office hours at a certain point throughout the year, but last year things were changing during the year. So what we started with at the beginning of the school year was not how we ended. We allowed for students to change from virtual to in-school instruction throughout the school year. We were able to open that up. So some students who were fully virtual in the beginning of the school year were in person every day towards the end of the school year. So I think we handled it pretty much like everyone else, with the exception of we were on a shortened day, which may not have been the same for everyone else. So we ended, I think, around 1 o'clock. And then students had time to get home. And then there were virtual office hours that were available to students where they can meet with their teachers for additional support before the end of the school day.
Thank you so much. Which academies generally have the most and least applicants every year? So I can give approximate numbers, but again, I don't know what a given year is going to bring. In the past 2 years have been, a little bit different due to the climate. So traditionally, math, science, and engineering, healthcare science, and computer and information science do have the highest number of applicants. From there, student academies that are newer tend to take a little bit more time to grow the applicant base and getting the word out in the community. So a program that's new, for instance, we have 2 new programs this year coming up that are anticipated for the start of next year. Students are applying to those tend to have a much higher chance of acceptance due to that. But as far as a lot of the other programs, it really depends upon the year, and it is quite specific. But math, science, and engineering, healthcare, and computer and information sciences, every year, year after year, have had a very high number of applicants, with math, science, and engineering approximately 200 being the top each year, traditionally the past few years. All right, we can take one more. Can you share an example of the task that students will have during the exam? So we're not going to share that, but again, it's not something to be scared of. There are 2 tasks. They're going to do a STEM task and an arts task. We really do believe that students will enjoy this opportunity, and it is about group work and collaboration. I'm going to go ahead and end us here. It's been a nice, long, full hour of information. Again, you can watch this back on our YouTube channel. We will follow up tomorrow with links to all the information that you saw. We really sincerely appreciate you being with us this evening, pivoting with us into a virtual forum, which has been really successful in order to get through a lot of questions. We've been able to get through a lot more than we would have been able to in a traditional setting. So thank you so much. Get those applications in, check your emails, check your applicant status page. Students, we appreciate you and wish you all the best. Thank you so much and have a great